Okay, let's talk about GMAT mathematics. And if you're watching this video, I assume you are preparing to take the GMAT, meaning that you are interested in going to graduate school. So that's outstanding. Congratulations. You obviously already have your degree or just about ready to get your degree, and you're going on to graduate school. So, as you know, when you go to graduate school, just like when you go to college out of high school, you have to take the SAT or ACT. When you go to graduate school, you have to take either the GMAT or the GRE, depending on whether you're going to a technical degree, advanced degree, or maybe a more liberal arts or an MBA type program. So you obviously are looking to take the GMAT. And what we got here is a practice problem that you should be able to handle pretty well if you're fully prepared for GMAT mathematics. We'll get into the problem here in a second. But first, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of Tablet Class Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. And over the last several years, I've constructed many online math classes to include a GMAT math prep course. Okay, so I'm going to leave a link to that in the description of this video. But I would characterize the math that's on the GMAT as being, like advanced high school level mathematics. Okay, you're not going to see like full-on calculus problems, differential equations, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, it's going to be more focused on, a lot of, algebra, geometry, those kind of concepts, and then other concepts as well, right? So you got to brush off your math skills. Now, even if you're solid in math, you're good at math, but the last time you've, really been doing any heavy duty math, maybe it's been 3, 4 years ago when you were a freshman in college and you're just rusty, okay? So don't underestimate the GMAT math section, okay? You're going to have to brush up, and you're going to have to get immersed. So, whether it's a course like mine or some other program, get ready for it, because you only get one shot, more than one shot, obviously, if you have to take the GMAT again, but you don't want to do that. You want to go in there the first time, get a really great score so you can get into the college or university of your choice. All right, so with that being said, let's get into the problem. Now, obviously, I'm going to solve the problem, but I want to give you a chance to solve it. So here we have a simple equation, okay? So I'd like you to solve for x, completely solve for x. Do not use your calculator. Just go ahead and use your mathematical knowledge to solve for x, okay? All right, so hopefully you paused the video and you tried the problem. Even if you're not sure what to do, at least, tinker around with it, okay? Because think about it. If you've encountered this on the GMAT, you don't want to leave anything blank. You want to attempt a problem. So let's get into it and let's just first do some observations here. So obviously there is an equation, okay, situation going on. I told you to solve for x. But what type of equation is this? All right, so a little pop quiz here. Do you remember what type of equation this is? Well, we have an x and a little squared here. This is actually what we call a quadratic equation, right? Now, quadratic equations are a type of polynomial equation. Okay, so this guy here is a polynomial, and it's what we call a degree 2 polynomial. So the highest power of x here is 2. That makes it a quadratic equation. Okay, so now there's another very big concept going on here, being that we know this is a quadratic equation, all right? It's a polynomial of degree 2 or a polynomial where the highest power is 2. We need to know something else, okay? Now, you learned this stuff. It was maybe some years ago, not too far in the distant future, but you learned it in high school or you learned it in college. But when you have a polynomial equation, we have something called the fundamental theorem of algebra. You don't need to remember this part, but the concept is this. Whatever the degree, the polynomial, the highest power of the polynomial, in this case it's 2, that's how many solutions we're going to have, okay? So this is a degree 2 polynomial or a quadratic equation, so we're looking for 2 solutions, okay? We're always will have 2 solutions. Now, what type of solutions? Well, this is where it gets into a kind of different kind of situation here with respect to this problem. we either have real number solutions or complex number solutions, okay? So all this verbiage, all these terms should be bringing back some memories. Maybe for some of you, some bad memories of math. You're like, oh, I hate math. I got to take the GMAT anyway. Listen, I get it. English and things like that. That's not my forte. But we all have to do what we got to do, right? Anyways, so right off the bat, okay, we know something about this problem without even doing it yet, okay, so by recognition of it. So let's get into the actual mechanics. So we know we're looking for two solutions, okay? This is a quadratic equation, degree 2, and I don't know if my solutions are going to be real numbers or complex numbers, okay, or imaginary numbers. So let's get into it now. And the first thing we need to do is to really isolate this x squared part. We want to solve for x squared, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides of the equation, and I get 2x squared is equal to negative 16. Okay? Now, at this point, again, I want to isolate x squared. I want to solve for x squared, if you will. So I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 2, and I get x squared is equal to negative 8. Okay, excellent. Okay, now let's just do something here for a second. If I had the equation x squared is equal to 8, how would I solve that? Now, obviously, I'm going to be dealing with this negative 8 here in a second, but how would you solve this simple equation? So a little pop quiz here for you, right? So hopefully you know, oh, okay, you just take the square root of both sides. So x is going to be equal to the square root of 8. Now, remember, this is x squared. I'm looking for two solutions. So when you take the square root of a real number, it's always positive and negative, okay? So in other words, x squared is equal to 16. If I take the square root of both sides, x is going to be equal to what? Not just 4, okay? X squared is equal to 16. I take the square root of both sides again. It's not just 4, right? Because 4 times 4 is positive 16. It's also negative 4, okay? Because negative 4 times negative 4 is also positive 16. So when you take the square root of a real number, all right, you always put this little positive and negative, and that is what identifies us having two solutions, the positive version and the negative version of that answer, okay? All right, now I brought that up, that little easier x squared equal to positive 8, just to stress that here, all right, this is pretty straightforward because I was able to take the square root of 8. If you have your calculator handy, okay, probably, I don't know if your cell phone, if you put your cell phone in scientific version, like on mine, I have an Android, I just flip it. I think I can get scientific version. In other words, I get square roots. Try to take the square root of negative 8, okay? Plug that into your calculator. Try to find the square root of a negative 8. In other words, here we're going to like, oh, okay, I can just take the square root of both sides and have x is equal to the square root of negative 8, right? Well, what's likely going to happen is your calculator going to be like, hey, I don't like that. It's going to be like a big old error. Like, hey, I don't understand. What are you telling me? All right. You can't take the square root of a negative number because your calculator is unless you have an advanced scientific calculator, it just understands real numbers, okay? So the square root of negative 8 is saying, all right, something times itself is going to be negative 8, right? Something times itself is negative 8. So you're like, well, it's not, well, let's even use negative 16 here for a second. The square root of negative 16 is an example, all right? So what something times itself is, how do we get back to negative 16? Well, we can't. It's going to be 4 times negative 4. These are two different numbers. This is positive 4, this is negative 4. So we're like, how about we just make them both negative? Nope, that's a positive 16. So your calculator doesn't understand how to take the square root of a negative number because this is not a real number, right? So we're doing the problem correct at this point, but I want you to recognize that right here, this is now not a real number. This is what we call an imaginary number, which is part of the complex number system, okay? So we want to be able to write this correctly, okay? So you need to, I don't want to go down too many tangents, but all these things you should know. We want to take this imaginary component out. We'll put a little I behind it, okay? So if you if you got to this point, that's pretty good, but we're not done yet, okay? We still, this has a single answer here, all right? This is only one answer. We're looking for two solutions. So it's going to be x equals positive negative square root of 8i, okay? But we're still not even done because we can simplify the square root of 8. We can write that differently, okay? So how can we write that, simplify this in a better algebraic fashion? Well, I need to know a little bit about square roots. Okay, so the square root of 8 is the same thing as the square root of 4 times 2, right? Because this is 8. So the square root of 4 times 2, I can rip these factors apart like this. Okay, so the square root of 4 is 2 square root of 2. Okay, and of course that'll be positive, negative. So really, your final answer should be x equals positive, negative 2 square root of 2i. Okay, this little imaginary component, that's a whole separate conversation about complex and imaginary numbers. I don't want to go down too many tangents on this particular problem, but let's say this was a multiple choice question and this was one of the options here. Okay, would you even recognize, that that is the solution to this problem, right? It doesn't seem so intimidating, right? And it's really not. I would say this is, kind of middle of the road in terms of, you know, difficulty, especially for the GMAT, okay? This is stuff that you would be learning and, as a junior in high school, something like along in Algebra 2, college algebra. So you've definitely had this math before, but again, it's maybe been some time, maybe it's been some years, okay? So the whole point of this video is, listen, you're already successful academically. You already have your degree and you're going on to continue your education, so that's awesome. But you're going to have to do what you got to do, get up to speed on your math, even if you're great at math, even if you're taking calculus, and even if you have had a lot of math. Maybe you've had 2 years in maybe linear algebra, differential equations. Guess what? All that math, that's great. Okay. But, I have a degree in mathematics and a master's degree. Okay. If I focused on the math I learned in college, topology, all this other crazy stuff, differential equations, abstract algebra, guess what? That's not going to help me on a GMAT as much, okay? Because those questions aren't going to be there. I need to go back and review high school level mathematics. All these concepts that are really, truly, very powerful in math. So that's the level that you really want to go back and make sure you're up to speed on. All right, so let's go and wrap up this video. Again, I'm going to leave a link to my GMAT math prep course in the description of this video. If you're new to my YouTube channel, hopefully consider subscribing. I have other videos on GMAT, and I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on high school level mathematics on my channel. I've been on YouTube for many, many years. So hopefully you'll consider becoming a subscriber. If you like the video, definitely appreciate a thumbs up and leave me some feedback. How much time do you have to study for the GMAT? Is math your strong point? What are you doing to prepare? Any feedback is good feedback. But with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best on the GMAT. I hope you get into the program and the school that you want. Okay. Thank you for your time and have a great day.